Nice. Aloha mai kako, Michael Kiolomal Tengan, the Urban Mage, enlivening the magic within. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today, day 7 of our 21-day experience. We are at the end of week 1. Week 1 really covering things in terms of getting more connected to that concept of what our personal genius is. And from that area of what our personal genius is, we can better craft then who we are. And that's really where we want to take that in terms of this experience, going from the question of who am I and moving into the answer of who I am. Now, so far in terms of our personal genius, we've covered 3 of the 4 components, right? We've covered first and foremost our core values. The things that are most important to us are why and how we deliver the services that we have to offer. Secondly, we went into transferable skills. Now that would be the where it is that we can focus our attention upon and where we can most be of service. Now, yesterday we went into the archetypal patterns. Now, this is really what it is that is coming from us. You know, these patterns, these modes of being, these impulses that guide and to a certain degree drive us are also ways that we can best align all of these other aspects. Today, to round things off, we're going to be going into our intuitive talents. Now, I say talents because this is something that we have not just, spontaneously received. These are things that we have developed in the back office, if you will, on the spiritual side in terms of being able to hone and to sharpen these skill sets that allow us to then, as a talent does imply, really do something with incredible skill and ease and grace. So when we look at it broadly speaking, going back a few steps actually to the 4-body system. Now we have our physical, our mental, our emotional, and our spiritual levels of awareness. Now connected to all 4 of these all the time, we tend to have a larger degree of focus on certain aspects of awareness. Physical is kinesthetic. You can kind of think of this as those star athletes, Olympians, the Tibetan monks who can backflip 10 feet in the air and then break wood with their head. The mental is the psychic. Now, this is all about data. It's about information. It's about being able to access new theories of everything, to being able to peek through time and space and to see and know things. The emotional body is tied to our empathic abilities. And these empathic abilities are what allows us to be natural healers, to connect to other individuals, to be able to support in healing from past trauma. These types of things that are related entirely to our experiences. Last and most certainly not least, in that spiritual aspect or our energetic level of awareness, really is able to focus upon, well, it's actually rather broad. It's the capacity to connect to the physical, the mental, and the emotional, in addition to having its own skill set of things and talents as well. Now, as such, we want to look at then how or where or which of these are really we're most individually tied to. Because we have things like when we talk about intuition, empathy or empathic abilities, right? Talking about the capacity to feel someone else's emotions. Psychic abilities, things that we just know, being able to know which stocks to trade in, knowing which travel arrangements are best, being able to know what decision is ultimately going to be in my best and highest interest. Going into kinesthetic, for example, is just being masterful in terms of navigating space and time, but also having a little bit of those, spider senses when you're able to pick up on things that are a little off. The energetic aspect is what we identify as claircognizance. It's a clear knowing of what's happening and just a deep intuitive, as we say in Hawaiian, the na'au knows. And so that na'au, that deep spiritual knowingness, is something that we can really, once we connect to it, continue to skill and to hone. Now, The thing about that is when we talk about intuition, broadly speaking, a lot of people like to say, oh yeah, I'm psychic, or oh man, I'm such an empath. And the thing about it is that while we're interpreting this information, and really that's probably a good way to frame it, is just being able to interpret information, right? There are radio waves all around us, and we can listen to those radio waves if we have the proper listening device. Now, the thing about it is we cannot necessarily pick up on Wi-Fi with my radio, because that's a different signal entirely. And so then we would need a modem, brain fart there, we would need a modem to be able to tap into that, or something, put differently, I'm not able to then watch high definition TV using my radio or my Wi-Fi box, my modem. And so, well, I guess not technically true. In any case, you kind of see where I'm going at. These different ways, these different signals require something to be able to process and to interpret it. And similarly, that's what our intuition and intuitive talents do. And so what we're going to do is just really simply, the activity is going to be one of journaling today, is bringing to mind a joyous occasion. A joyous occasion that you've experienced in your life. It's going to be a 10-minute journal activity, and you're basically going to write your experience of it. Now, when I say write your experience of it, it can be everything from the feelings that you had, to the setting, to the general feel that was there, to the connections you made to other people, to this, that, or the other. And so what you're going to do is take that 10-minute period, just write it out, write your story, pick a joyous occasion and just write all about it as much as you can remember in terms of your experience. Now, it's a little different than just describing what happened. Okay, describing what happened. So for as an example, joyous experience. I'll take something recent because there really has been a lot of joy in life. So let's see. Our oldest son recently started kindergarten this year, and he had an event last week, and I went to go pick him up, and he was just, he was having such a great time. They made these little crowns that they wore in celebration, and he was just really in a very fun, playful mood. And so I decided to go, and well, instead of doing what we typically do, which is coming back home and kind of going through our process, we decided to go out and play. And so as we went out to play, we went down to the park, and it was probably about 1 o'clock by the time we got to the park. And so we get to the park, and then he goes and he sees a little girl, a couple of little girls, and he goes directly up to them and he starts talking, and then they start playing. And so I'm watching him as he goes around, and for me, I'm over there and I'm watching him play, but also just taking the opportunity for myself connect. I do some exercises, and we played for about an hour and a half, and then we went home. Okay, now that's example A. That's literally what happened, piece by piece, play by play. Now, let's do option B, which is my experience, okay? So, last week, I went to go pick up my son from school, and he was in such a mood. Like, he was just so happy that it was infectious. I felt happy as well. And he was incredibly playful, and I felt playful as well. And so instead of what we typically do, which is coming back home first, doing some snacks, getting, centered and going back out and doing something else, we went straight from the school directly to the park. And so we get to the park. It was beautiful. It really was. It was gorgeous. The sun was shining. And if you've ever been to this park, Keokea in Upcountry Kula, it is almost mystical. We arrive there and the sun is peeking through light cloud cover. These sun rays are coming down, and then it was amazing because it was just so warm. And it wasn't just warm to the skin and to touch. I actually felt like this energy of warmth inside of myself, because again, this place is truly magical. When you see the sunlight coming down, particularly on the greenness of the grass right now, the greenness of the grass is just tremendous. It's robust, and it goes all the way up into the mountains. And so it goes all the way up into the mountains, and truly an amazing place. And so there we are. Our son, he just is, no fear, goes straight up to the girls, starts talking, they start playing, and they start having just an amazing time. And it was terrific because he got to focus on just connecting with other people, which was awesome. As I just kind of pulled myself back and watched him, I started to do some exercises, which was great. It was warm again. So using that warmth, I was doing some movement patterns. I've been doing a lot of computer work recently. So it was just tremendous to feel my body, to go through the experiences of some basic patterns, squats and lunges, walkouts. By the end of it, I had done it for about 20 minutes. And by the end of it, my body just felt so nourished and cared for and revitalized. And so as they were playing, they continued to play. And as we got ready to leave, it was one of those moments where I just felt so fulfilled, so happy, and in this case, joyous, as did our son. Okay, so those are two different examples. Not as short as it probably could have been, but short nonetheless. Option A is, the first option is really just telling play by play what happened. That's more observant. We're observing what's happened, yet we're not necessarily connected. What I would like you to do is get connected to your experience, okay? Get connected to your experience of what happened. Write for 10 minutes. Now, after you're done with 10 minutes of writing, then what you're going to do is once your timer goes off, beep, 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 take a moment, put your pen or pencil down, and step away from everything. Now, as you step away from everything, what we're able to then better connect with as we come back to it is which of the four aspects, the physical, right, talking about in my example, for example, my body awareness, right? My body felt warm. There was a warmth inside. The movement, the flexibility, the squats, that's a physical experience, right? So that could also come in the way of sight, sound, taste, or touch. Coming into the mental aspect, right? I was observing things. I was observing the greenness of the grass and the sun shining. I was, some of the thoughts that I had were of how magical this place is, right? The emotional piece then coming into that connectivity, right? I was feeling joyous. I was feeling playful. I was having fun, as was my son, and recognizing that connection that he was having with people, so on and so forth. There's a social component there. The energetic part is a little bit more, a little trickier. It's the general feel of a place, right? Coming back to that description of just the magical aspect of it. Part of it was observational and seeing. The other part of it was that there was a real feeling to it, right? And so being able to connect on which of these four do you feel is best represented within your story. Now, once you identify what that is, physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual, then we're going to be going under the general assumption that your experience is based upon one of these four aspects, okay? And so what we want to do then is we're pow for now. We're going to finish off here, and then I'm going to invite you to go ahead, set that timer for 10 minutes, write about a joyous experience in your life, and once that's done, put the pen down, take a step back, and come back in, reread through your journal entry, and see which of these four are you most connected to in your own personal experience. Okay, that's it for now. Love and aloha to you all. Take care of each other, and ahui ho.